यशोदा लाल की। ब्रज में आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल की। ब्रज में आनंद भयो जय यशोदा लाल की। हाथी घोड़ा पाल की जय कन्हैया लाल की। हाथी घोड़ा पाल की जय कन्हैया लाल की। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। नंद के आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल की। नंद के आनंद भयो जय यशोदा लाल की। ब्रज में आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल की। ब्रज में आनंद भयो जय यशोदा लाल की। हाथी घोड़ा पाल की जय कन्हैया लाल की। हाथी घोड़ा पाल की जय कन्हैया। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी।
जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Jaya Prabhupada 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 Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki. So today we are celebrating the auspicious festival of Rathayatra, and so we'll spend a few minutes understanding the importance of this festival and what it means for each one of us to practice in our lives. So the story of the Rathayatra is that once there is a total solar eclipse that is predicted, and as there is custom when there is a total solar eclipse, there is a very auspicious place called Samanta Panchaka in Kurukshetra, where all the residents of Dwaraka wanted to go visit and perform prayers during this festival. So what happened? The entire big army of the Yadavas they formed a whole big procession, a royal procession with chariots and elephants and horses and soldiers and all that. And Krishna, Balarama, Vasudeva, Devaki, Mother Rohini, and all the families, many of the queens of Krishna, they all went on a big procession from Dwaraka to Kurukshetra. When they heard about this, the Vrindavan Vasis also heard oh yes, there's going to be a total solar eclipse, and they also wanted to go to Kurukshetra, less to go and purify themselves, more to see Krishna. And so Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, all the gopis and the gopas and everybody, they also got ready to go in a big procession to Kurukshetra. And they took their bullock carts. They took the bullock carts and cows, and if somebody's experienced this in villages, right? They'll put all the belongings, with the covered cart in the back. And so like that, they also went in a big procession. And they all came to this auspicious Samanta Panchaka place in Kurukshetra. And there was this wonderful scene. This side, Krishna, Balaram, and big opulence, because they were all, at this point, they were the rulers, Yadavas. Right? And on the other side, simple villagers in that sense. Right? Though Nanda Maharaj was the king of the Yadavas, of the cowherd men and all that. And so, when Vasudeva saw Nanda Maharaj, he very feelingly came running and embraced him. And same thing was happening. Devaki was embracing and Rohini were embracing Yashoda Mai. And there was this very intimate reunion happening, because they were all related families. And it is said that Mother Devaki and Rohini were being so thankful to Yashoda Mai for having taken care of Krishna and Balaram when they were young. Right? And there was a very intimate reunion that was happening there. And you can imagine at the same time, the gopis who had not seen Krishna for so many years, they were longing to see Krishna and Balaram. And the Bhagavatam describes this very wonderful description of what happened over there. I'll just read a few verses to illustrate what was happening over there. So Radharani is saying this is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 1.76. Priya soyam Krishna saha chari kurukshetra militas tataham saradha tad idam ubayo sangama sukham tatapi antah kelan madura murali panchama jushe mano me kalindi pulina vipinayas spruhayati. Here the translation is like this. This is a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still I would like to go back to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavana. So Radharani is summarizing the mood of the gopis, because they're used to seeing Krishna not as a king. Here Krishna is very opulent. He's wearing silken garments, he's got a crown on his head, and there are soldiers all surrounding him. You can imagine such a big, the Yadavas were unrivaled, because you see, the Shastras explain that all the demigods, of the heaven, they all took birth in the family of the Yadus. And so, the Yadavas, you can imagine the demigods and their opulence and their, they'll say chiseled features and very opulent looking with gold and diamond and all those things. And the Rajavasis are seeing, the gopis are seeing Krishna like this, and there's like, this is not our Krishna. Right? Our Krishna is a cowherd boy. Right? He's wearing a simple garments. He's got a bugle on his, on his one side, and he's got a flute on the other side. And you can see how Krishna Balram, more like this. Right? Their garlands, they wear some flower garlands and this. They don't wear any big ornaments and crowns and all. And so the gopis were longing to see Krishna in that particular form. And so, with their hearts, they wanted to pull Krishna away from Kurukshetra to go back to Vrindavana. So, when we talk about the Rathayatra, see, traditionally in Puri Jagannath, anybody remembers where does the Rath begin and where does it end? Any of the children want to say? Nobody knows? Okay. The adults can say now, I guess. Huh? It goes from Puri Jagannath temple to Gundicha Mandir. Puri Jagannath temple represents the opulence of Jagannath with his Dwaraka. Big opulent temple. You see how massive the temple is. Big temple, huge, Sudarshan Chakra on top, and Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Mai are in a huge chariot, right? And a big chariot, very opulent. And they're going towards Gundicha Mandir. Gundicha Mandir is a very small temple. So, Puri Jagannath represents, Jagannath Mandir represents Kurukshetra, actually represents Dwaraka, where Krishna resides. And in this example, where Krishna was in Kurukshetra, and the gopis, through their love and devotion and sincerity of they are pulling him from there to Gundicha Mandir, which is like Vrindavan, simple Vrindavan, village of Vrindavan. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much revered and enjoyed this Jagannath pastime. And it is very important for us to understand how he celebrated it, what did he do, so that we can also learn a lot of lessons from this experience. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the mood of Radharani, and he was dancing in front of Jagannath and pulling the ropes. They would form multiple teams, all these Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And Jagannath and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would typically dance in front of Lord Jagannath. It is said that, because there is a long distance, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance and Jagannath used to move. Sometimes, because of Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fall behind. At that time, the cart would stop. Jagannath would not move. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to come back in the front and he would dance again. And as he danced and moved, Jagannath would move. You see, this pastime keeps happening even nowadays. Like this time, and they were moving, how they pull the deities and take, I don't know if anybody saw, like in one of those places, Jagannath got stuck there for 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes. He wouldn't move. Pandas are pushing from this side, pulling from that side. They are trying everything. But the Lord decides when he wants to move, when he doesn't want to move. So, it is very beautifully described how when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing, so he is now pulling him to Gundicha Mandir. Now, but before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets on this whole Rathayatra procession, he takes all of his associates to Gundicha Mandir for what is called as Gundicha Mandira Marjana. So they would go the first time. See, this Gundicha Mandir, there is no deities rest of the year. Only once a year, Jagannath will come to this temple. And so you can imagine, 1 year there is no deity regular worship, so it gets a little, dirty and all that. And so the associates and everybody would go. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not just directing them, he is personally cleansing. He would go and take all the straw and dust, and with his upper cloth, he would take out his upper cloth and pick everything up. And everybody was collecting everything and coming and putting it outside. There's a beautiful description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about this Gundicha Manjira Marjana. And they're piling up all this dirt over there. And it is said that the biggest pile was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pile. And then they were all tired and they were sitting over there looking at all of that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not satisfied. He went in a second time. This time they would take their upper cloth, put it in water, and they would go and wipe the whole temple clean, spick and span, every single corner of the temple. And all of the dirt was very, very thoroughly cleansed like this. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt a little satisfied. So, it is described in the Shastras that this Gundicha Mandira Marjana has a big significance for all of us in our own lives. Right? Anybody can say, what is the significance? We have to cleanse our hearts so that Krishna can come and reside. So there's this analogy of what does this whole Rathayatra procession mean? This is not about, there is a big rath, there is ropes, that you're being pulling, but they all have very spiritual significance for all of us. The significance is that the ropes represent our love for Krishna. Gundicha Manjira represents our heart. Our heart has to be clean. And we should exhibit pure devotional service to Krishna so we can attract Krishna towards us. It is not that we can pull Krishna. We can only pull Krishna through what? Through our loving devotional service. Physically we cannot pull him. Right? So, it is described that in the first round, what was the things, 2 stages of cleansing. All this straw and dirt and this thing, what does that represent? It represents some of the things, anarthas that we have which are very obviously visible to everybody. Right? That the first one is everybody can see. Because if you're not, say like dishonesty, your harsh and uncontrolled speech, sometimes we neglect our sadhana, we sometimes break regulative principles in subtle and gross ways. We're absorbed in material activities, we may commit some Vaishnava aparadh. These kind of externally visible things is the first round of dirt, the straw and all of those things. The second round of cleansing is more of the very subtle things, which only Krishna as Paramatma in the heart, you, if you are careful and observant and introspective, you can see, I do have this, inabilities in myself. Right? Sometimes it could be in devotional service, we want some recognition for our service. You will do, but nobody is saying you did a good job. Right? I worked so hard. You want some recognition. Or sometimes, we still have that envy, we get disturbed when somebody else does nicely and receives some, applause or something. Right? Or we may have some fault-finding mentality among ourselves. Right? We may have some desire to control things. Right? Sometimes we want to use devotional service as a means to establish our importance. These are all very fine, subtle things that also need to be cleansed, that also need to be cleaned up in our heart. And when we pay attention to this cleansing, then just like Krishna came from Dwaraka to Vrindavan, just like Jagannath comes from Puri to Gundicha Mandira, the Lord will come and reside in our hearts and give us pleasure and purification. So that is why it is very, very important that we understand the mood of Jagannath Rathayatra. And let's take this opportunity today. We'll all go outside and pull the Rath. But please remember, you can only pull the Lord into our hearts through our loving devotional service, through our purity. And let us make a resolve that we will all take some steps towards cleansing our heart. Some particular anartha we have been nurturing, we should give away, so that we can become purer and cleaner and pull Krishna towards our heart. So Srila Prabhupada started this Rathayatra tradition because he remembered when he was a very small boy. He was hardly, I think he was 5 years old when Srila Prabhupada, he was just 5 years old at that time, when Prabhupada wanted to celebrate his own Rathayatra. He asked his father for a chariot, but they couldn't go buy a chariot. It's very expensive. They went to talk to a lot of merchants. And, Prabhupada was very disappointed. He was crying piteously, saying, I can't get a chariot, it's so expensive. And then one old Bengali lady, she asked, why are you crying, child? She said, no, I wanted a Rath, and it's so expensive, we couldn't buy. She said, no, come with me. I will give you, I have an old chariot in my house, small one. So she took them both to their house. There was an old one, like 3 foot tall, a little bit of a chariot. A cart actually, not a chariot, a cart. And she gave it for a very less price, and the father, Gaur Mohan, they took it and both of them brought it home. And then they lovingly decorated it, and the whole street got together, all the elderly parents, everybody got together. And, they helped them, this and small, can you imagine, 5-year-old Abai wanted the Rath to look exactly like Puri Jagannath Rathya. So they had all these pillars, and they put, this elephants in front and horses and all that, like small things, and they put a canopy, and then all the mothers cooked wonderful feast, and they would have this Rathayatra on the streets, in the street, and it was celebrated very grandly every year like that from when he was 5 years old. And Prabhupada remembered that and wanted to start Rathayatra. And we're all very fortunate. The very first Rathayatra in ISKCON was done here in San Francisco. So we all have, a big obligation to bring back the big tradition of Rathayatra. So what we have is actually, we call it the children's Rath. Think of it more like what Prabhupada did in his 5 years old. We are working on getting a big Rath. We've been doing this 4 years, we've been trying to buy a Rath, but a lot of complexities involved. But hopefully by next year we will have a big Rath with all of your blessings and desires, so that we can have a big Rathayatra next year. Okay. So let's all go out and pull our Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Mai into our hearts and welcome them into our hearts and cleanse ourselves. Jai Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Mai ki. Jai Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Jai Gundita Mandira Marjan ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Bol Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Before we go out to celebrate the Rathayatra, I would like to quickly acknowledge today's various festival sponsors and request all the sponsors' names that I will read them out. You can collect your gift from the gift shop. So various fee sponsors, Anadana sponsors today are Aryan Praduturi, Prasanna Vijayaraghavan, Chandrasekhar Vappulupati, Swati Talluri, Sridhar Gangavarapu, Vardhan Kongivaram, Om Badane and Arjun Badane, Himanshu Agarwal and Preeti Badane. So these are all the Anadana sponsors. Please give them a big hand and request them to go and collect the gift from the gift shop. We also have Alankara Seva sponsors, Arvind Vasudev, Rajesh Rathod and Renu Sanjay Dhariwal. So we have those, and we also have the special Naivedya Seva sponsors, Ravish Mittal, Sridhar Chaluvadi, Shamna Rakesh and Monica Roy. So all the various festival Seva sponsors, please collect the gift from the gift shop. And now we will start the Rathayatra. So what we request you all is, the Rathayatra is starting in the back side, but please go to the front, wear your shoes. If you have hats or caps, you can wear them also. Come all the way to the back side, you can assemble there. And after the Rathayatra is over, again you have to come back, enter from the front, so that you can join the line for Prasadam. And at that time, we will also announce the winners of the Build a Chariot competition also. So please actually give a wonderful big hand to all the wonderful participants, contestants. We can see beautiful Rathas being made for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. So please go to the front, wear your shoes, come all the way to the back. And after the Rathayatra procession is done, again come to the front. You can leave your shoes and come back in for Prasadam. And we'll also announce the Build a Chariot winners at that time. Hare Krishna. Okay, we are looking for a small kid, Janavi. You found, okay. Hare Krishna.